I remember a few days back a report that said that fantasy football, fantasy sports, it was a distraction, a waste of time, and somebody bothered to calculate how much time away from the desk was spent for that. But there's a new report that says that fantasy sports is actually good for the workplace. Joining us on 710 KURV to explain which is it, leadership and workplace culture expert Nina Newberry. Nina, welcome to the show. Don't tell me that you're going to be here defending fantasy football and this waste of time.
Well, there are two different points of view on this. So I think fantasy football can be a good thing as long as it doesn't go way too far. So it can really engage people, make you have a fun workplace environment. But if you start having behavior that really is disruptive, meaning it just kind of takes over what's going on at work, then you really got to find ways to manage that effectively.
Well, the same could be said for everything. But what would you recommend? Would you recommend that management allow this to happen within certain norms?
Yeah, I think that people are going to do it regardless. And so I think if there's a way that you can keep it manageable, so what I mean by that is you don't necessarily have to develop a broader policy around this, but if there are issues that come up where certain people are just spending a lot of time on this, you can have those one-off conversations as you need to.
All right.
As a leader, you got to watch how much you're micromanaging your employees and how your behaviors are really being interpreted. But you're also accountable for results.
That's fine. As long as we don't have to start our own fantasy league here at KURV, Fred can do his own thing. Workplace culture expert Nina Newberry, our guest on 710 KURV.
Yeah, Nina, Tim Sullivan here. So where is that line? How do you know when you're going overboard? And maybe should there be a written policy that says, management puts up a bulletin board notice saying 15 minutes during lunchtime, that's it. But then even if you do that, how do you manage that? Yeah.
I don't know that you have to go all the way to developing a broader policy unless it becomes a big issue. So there's a philosophical thing here that I coach leaders on, which is, are you managing to results in the quality of the work? Are you micromanaging every single aspect of how employees get that work done? So I think part of it is looking at, is productivity really getting impacted by this? And also, how is fantasy football really affecting the environment in terms of social aspects, how engaged people are? Because, boy, if you have engaged employees, it can make a huge difference to the bottom line. Earnings per share, productivity, growth, all kinds of things. So there's some real pros to this. So you got to be careful not to dive in too fast, too soon, and put a broad policy in place that doesn't necessarily, impact everyone. So what I mean by that is not everyone needs that broader policy. They know they need to get their work done. There are usually a few outliers that might be spending a lot of time.
I'll let you go with this, Nina. Yeah. I have a friend who's a manager. Let's say this manager allows for the creation of this league at work. If he charges them a 20% fee on the winnings, is that legal? Don't answer. I know. I'm just playing with you. Nina, thank you so much for joining us. Nina Newberry, leadership and workplace culture expert on 710 KURV.